charging cord. It's not
Sweet.
down there.
Is it gonna start?
It's got to be a
It's
charging
fine.
cord down there. Graham, did you take the charging cord again?
Yes.
Why did you take the charging cord
I'll
again?
bring it back. It's live.
It's fine. It's fine.
If you need a charging cord, I have extras.
It's turning on the live.
I understand it's turning on. I'm giving you a hard time about the
That's okay.
charging cord. You gotta stop with the charging cord. I've got extras.
Who's gonna check?
Quit taking the charging cord.
That's fine.
Where is this?
Alright. Yeah. Nothing like having an attitude to start family worship, right, Brandon?
What's wrong? What's wrong?
So that's alright. We're gonna sing, "Oh Lord, you art my God and King."
I just,
Why is it you art when it's "You are my God and King" in the title?
that's probably what it was.
Yeah. We can make a correction of that. Alright, so we're zoning in here on the family worship things, guys. We're almost, on the eschatology things. So was this good, this eschatology stuff? Do you think I should turn it into a Sunday school or not? To help everyone with it? It's kind of like foundations for understanding the book of Revelation.
You keep it that simple.
Well, that's what I was planning to do. You know, and at some point sit there and do a timeline perspective on Revelation. You know, this is happening here, this is happening here, this is happening, you know. So I'm almost close to being able to comprehend it myself so that I can put it together. So it's basically following Beale. It's not like rocket science. Are we ready to sing to God?
After meal.
All right, so Mom and Megan are off at Mom and Megan tonight are off at sister church or two. They're looking at Megan's ministry plans, missionary plans, and thinking about supporting her. So, you know, that's all good. They're going to be praying, all right? So let us all have our prayers together, okay? All right. Oh Lord, you are my God and King, and I will ever bless your name. I will extol you every day, and evermore your praise proclaim. The Lord is greatly to be praised. His greatness is beyond our thoughts. From age to age, the sons of men shall tell the wonders God has wrought. Upon your glorious majesty and wondrous works my mind shall dwell. Your deeds fill all the earth with awe, and of thy greatness I will tell. Your matchless goodness and your grace, the people shall commemorate. Righteousness, my joyful song shall celebrate. Great, let's listen to once. That looked good. The Lord our God is rich in grace, most tender and compassionate. His anger is most slow to rise, his loving kindness is most great. The Lord is good in all his ways, his creatures know his constant care, and all his works his love extends, and all his tender mercy share. Your work shall give you thanks, O Lord, your saints your mighty acts shall show, till o'er the earth the sons of men your kingdom, power, and glory know. Eternal is your kingdom, Lord, forever strong and ever sure. All generations rise and die, shall your dominion still endure. All right, Graham, you take a quick look, see if someone showed up there. The dogs kept looking at the door there. All right, I'm going to get into Armageddon here. All right, so just give you some technical stuff for background, guys. Some of you probably know this. But Megiddo, right? You can hear Mageddon, right? You all right, bud?
Yeah.
Megiddo is the name of a giant valley. All right, so if I were to try and use my hand here as Israel, right? Okay, so right about here at the knuckle is Jerusalem, right? Up here is the Sea of Galilee, okay? Right? Over here is at this knuckle right here is Mount Carmel. It sticks a little bit out into the ocean, right? Well, Mount Carmel basically forms a mountain ridge that goes like this, a mountain line that goes like this, right? And then there's another one that's at the top. It kind of goes a little bit like this, right? This is the Great Seacoast Highway. Over here in the Jordan River is the King's Highway. This goes up into Lebanon and then Syria and Turkey and all that area. But if you're coming from Egypt, you come up the Seacoast Highway and you keep going up, especially if you're going to have a battle up here at Carchemish, right? You're going to have some battles with the Syrians and things like that. That's where you go, right? But along the way, if Josiah decides, you're not going to travel through here, I'm a mighty king, I can beat you, right? He's going to go up to this big valley of Megiddo between the two valleys, right? Between the two mountain ranges, okay? And in the middle here, okay, is Sippara, which is where Herod built his summer palace, okay? Just below that is Nazareth, where Jesus was raised, okay? Over here would be Capernaum along the edge of the Sea of Galilee. So Megiddo is really, really important, the Megiddo Valley, okay? This is where Samaria is at the bottom right here, okay? Another word for this Megiddo area is called the Valley of Jezreel, okay? So you get all this, okay? All right, so now you're sitting there going, but it's Armageddon, all right? And the R is actually Har, and it means mountain or hill. So the hill of Megiddo. And so what it's really talking about is, from this vantage point of the mountain range here, Mount Carmel and the others right there, at some point you set yourself up with your army at the edge of this mountain, and that's the high point from which you look at the enemy coming towards you, and you make him come up and attack you, or you race down to attack him. Right? So it's strategy. The Mount of Megiddo, right? There's been a lot of battles there. Okay? A lot of battles between Israel and other nations, right? A lot of battles between Israel and nations who are going to destroy them. So the Armageddon becomes synonymous with a civilization destroying battle. Make sense? Okay? Pretty simple. It gets picked up then in the New Testament, and we have a transliteration from the Hebrew into the Greek. Armageddon becomes Armageddon. And that becomes symbolic for the final battle between Jesus and all of his enemies. Between the people of God and all of their enemies. You with me so far? Okay? And so we see this a little bit. All right? Revelation. All right? The sixth angel pours out his bowl. Okay? All right? Remember these bowl plagues. And the water was dried up at the Euphrates River to prepare the way for the kings of the east. Remember this great mighty army. Okay? All the invaders come from Euphrates. Now remember, we sit there and think, well, Israel's here. East is over here. Euphrates River, Babylon. No. Euphrates River starts all the way up here. And the way it curves, to the east, you get big armies. They cross over the river to come down, all right, the Seacoast Highway, right? That's what's being described here, all right? I saw that coming out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs, demonic spirits performing signs. They go abroad to the kings of the whole world to assemble them for the great day of God, the Almighty. Now, you've heard this language, day of the Lord, before. That great gets added in the front of it, okay? And the idea here, the great day of God, is when Jesus comes back. Notice in verse 15, I'm coming like a thief. Blessed is the one who stays awake, keeping his garments, all right? All these different references here, all right? And they assembled in a place in Hebrew called Armageddon. Jesus returns unexpectedly. The kings of the world who are rebelling against him are gathered to fight against him and his people. Okay? So, Revelation 19 then. We also go. Now remember, Revelation 19 begins with the marriage of the Lamb. Revelation 18 ended with the destruction of the harlot. Okay? The marriage of the Lamb is the church, the pure woman, the harlot, the evil woman, the corrupt woman, destroyed, right? And so now, what happens when you were enjoying the harlot and she just got destroyed? And you hear about your enemy having a marriage feast. You gather together to try and destroy him and his bride. And that's what happens after the marriage feast. Verse 7, Revelation 19. I saw an angel standing in the sun with a loud voice. He called to all the birds to fly overhead, gather for the great supper of God, to eat the flesh of kings, flesh of captains, flesh of mighty men, horses and riders, both slave and free, small and great, flesh of men. I saw the beast, Antichrist, Satan, the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered to make war against him, right? Who sits on his horse and against his army. The beast is captured with a false prophet in his presence, and right? These two were thrown alive in the lake of fire that burns. Remember, this is Revelation 19, not Revelation 20 yet. And the rest were slain by the sword that came from the mouth of him who was sitting on the flesh, and all the birds were gorged on their flesh. So this is actually talking about a final battle, right? It's clearly talking about Armageddon, right? So that this final plague is poured out upon them, right? That final plague is to gather them for the final battle, right? And they're finally going to do what they've always wanted to do, which is try and destroy Jesus and his bride, right? Gathered for the final battle. Make sense? Armageddon, right? Joel 3, 9 through 21. This is in the Old Testament. Say to the nations far and wide, get ready for war. Call out your best warriors. Let all your fighting men advance for the attack. Hammer your plowshares into swords, your pruning hook into spears. I really like that one. That's a reversal of the millennial peace that we have in the new heavens and new earth that Isaiah talks about. Come quickly, all you nations, gather together in the valley. And they're going to be called into, all the nations be called into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Now that's named after one of the kings, all right? Right? Big battles there, right? The Lord's going to sit there and pronounce judgment, all right? Swing the sickle, the harvest is ripe, okay? Thousands upon thousands are waiting in the valley of decision. There, the day of the Lord. Remember, the great day of God, the Almighty, will soon arrive. The sun and moon will grow dark. The stars will no longer shine. All right? And so, again, it's a day of consummate judgment, the ending of this world, the beginning of the next. Here he is describing Armageddon, the valley of Jehoshaphat. That is also another word for the valley of Megiddo. Okay? And then you will know that I am Lord your God in Zion. All right, he talks about in verse 18, the hills flowing with new wine, Egypt becoming a wasteland, Edom becoming a wasteland, because they attacked Judah and killed innocent people. But Judah will be filled forever. Jerusalem will endure throughout all nations. I'll pardon all my people's crimes. I'll make my home with my people in Jerusalem. We're now in the new heavens and the new earth, Revelation 21, right, where God makes his home with his people, right? Okay, Revelation 20, verses 7 through 11. The 1,000 years are ended. Satan is released. And he now gathers the nations. Gog and Magog is the reference to the furthest part imaginable. Okay? They gather for battle for the numbers like sand of the sea. They march up in the broad plain. That would be the valley of Megiddo. Alright? Surround the camp of the saints, the beloved city. Fire comes down from heaven. The reference to the beloved city is not a literal Jerusalem, but it's the people of God. They're the city of God, right? That's where he lives. Fire come down from heaven and consume them. It's interesting. Just at the other end of the valley of Megiddo, you have Mount Carmel, where fire came down in the ministry of Elijah to wipe out all of the prophets and prophetesses, priests under Baal and Jezebel, right? Devil who deceived him was thrown in a lake of fire. We've already had this description of this battle in Revelation 19, right? So Revelation 20 begins with a recap, right? He's in prison. He's out of prison. He leads people to war. What war? Well, the war already described in Revelation 19. Where? Well, in the place already described in the 6th bowl plague. Make sense? All right? And then I saw a great white throne. Seated on it was him from whom all earth and sky fled, and no place was found for them. That takes us all the way back. You're going to love this one. To the 6th seal, where the kings of the earth hide in the mountains that say, hide us from him who's coming to judge us. All right? So it all gets wrapped up nice and neat. Pretty cool? All right? Pretty exciting? All right? Not hard to understand, right? There's a big battle coming, and immediately before that is the marriage supper of the Lamb. Immediately after that is the new heavens and the new earth. And Satan is now allowed to deceive the nations once again, all the unbelieving nations who are now mourning over the loss of Babylon in Revelation 18 are now gathered for that final battle in Revelation 19 at a place in Revelation 16 called Armageddon for a final battle in Revelation 20, which ends with the great white throne of judgment, which is what happens at the end of a big battle. King sets up his throne. It's called a battle throne because you take it onto the, right? And he puts his feet on the necks of those he's conquered, swearing them to allegiance, except for this time, he resurrects everyone and he judges them. Make sense? Pretty easy to understand, right? Okay? So someone along goes, oh, the Battle of Armageddon, da, 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 da. You can go, nah. It's real simple. All right? Any questions? Any observations? Any other thoughts? Kelly, you got any? All right? Did you get a chance to study into this with Beale? By any chance? All right. Did you have any classes with him?
No.
Practical theology, right? Yeah. You know what they did up there really quick? Graham's going to make you very jealous. They managed to get pastoral scholars for every single one of their professors. People who have pastoral experience who are also scholars. That's pretty serious. All right, guys, we're done. Let's pray to him. Let's be grateful that we're going to be in the King's army, Jesus' army, right? And we just have to show up. We don't have to worry. No stray bullets, no stray arrows, no stray bombs. We just show up because Jesus wields the sword coming from his mouth, speaks justice to all his enemies. I will lift my voice. I will ever sing for your steadfast love abounds, oh my Lord and King. Good night.